Welcome back to Cross-Rutted, your wide open moto podcast. I'm your host, Eric Nichols, and joining me this week, my co-host, Justin Reese. What's up, Justin?
What's up, Eric?
And then we have a special guest, returning guest, Mason Simmons. What's up, Mason?
Oh, not much. Thanks for having me on, guys. It's good to be back.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Well,
thank you.
last time we talked, you're in you had a pretty dominant lead in the 250 class over that at Works. You wrapped it up. I believe it was at round 8 at Mesquite. Was that right?
Yeah, yep.
All right, and then wrapped it up early, and then when we talked before, you're like, hey, I might want to go out there and try the 450 class, so that's what you're going to do next week, and hey, that's what you did this last round, 29 palms. So, how was it? How was the 250 season wrapping up early, and then we'll get into that 450 debut.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, really good year from the start. I think I lost 2 races, which were both at Glen Helen. Um,
Yep.
for some reason, me and Glen Helen seem to have a bit of a problem. So
Yeah.
hopefully when we go 450, we can figure that out. But yeah, no, it was a great year. A lot of good tracks, good venues, good racing, and yeah, all went to plan. Wrapped the championship up early, and yeah, got to go to 450 for 29 palms, which was it was good. It was a good experience to race them guys, get my feet wet. And yeah, just give me a bit of an idea what I'm getting into for next year, just how they raced, the pace off the start, which was,
Mhm.
it was hot. They were moving, them boys. I made a bit of a mistake and I was in third for a bit. And then, yeah, next thing I know, I was, drop it back a little bit. I was like, oh, better get moving here. So, yeah, it's just good to learn. And yeah, like I said, all went to plan, wrapped championship up and got to go 450 and learned a lot just in one race. So yeah, next year should be fun.
Awesome. Our buddy Zach, he was on before when we were talking about it, and he saw you at Mesquite. He watched you ride. He's like, that guy shreds the 250. He's not going to have any problem hanging with those guys on that 450. And hey, you showed it. Second overall. Finished ahead of Dare. But yeah, I mean, you kind of talked about the pace. Usually when we see the 250, 450s in like motocross, it's the track's a lot rougher, by that time. But I mean, you kind of ride at the same time. So what were some of the other elements that you kind of saw on that 450?
Well, they added a pretty gnarly pro section in for
Hmm.
29 Palms, which,
Mhm.
they throw that in and everyone, you sort of, you don't panic over it, but, it's a pro section, it's technical, everyone's got to get through it, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, I definitely learnt for the first few laps that they were a lot better than me through there,
Hmm.
especially, you know, just getting up on the pegs and going through the rocks. Yeah, it was new to me, especially on a 450 going through rocks like that. And I led into it on the first lap, so I got the whole shot. And yeah, I think I come out of it third. So yeah, it was just
Wow.
like, yeah, it's just learning things like that, And yeah, it literally took me half the race to, finally be able to match their speed through there, and then, you know, be just as competitive on the rest of the track. Wheels fast, wide open, sandy stuff, which I enjoy. I feel fine in that stuff. Um, so yeah, just off the start, they were super strong straight away. Through the pro section and just all around the track, they were solid. And then yeah, like I said, it took me about an hour to really start getting into my groove. And I think from an hour to an hour 40, I made 2 passes on Mateo and Dare both, and that's what got me into second. So yeah, it's just learning. 450 in different conditions,
Hmm.
and yeah, just more time on the bike. Over winter here and on my off season, it's gonna only benefit me going for next year. But yeah, glad I really raced it at 29 Palms and raced different terrain, gnarly off road and then fast sandy stuff and everything like that, and just figuring out the bike. Suspension works well and everything, but I learned. It took me a while to hit the rocks a bit faster to make it work, but
Right.
yeah, all in all was good. But yeah, it's a competitive class, man. And them guys are fast, and it was good to have Mateo come in for 29 Palms as well. And
Yep.
yeah, hopefully in the future we can see more guys come back to works and yeah, expand the class a bit more. And I'm happy to be on 450, that's for sure.
Yeah, and then we'll go into the big announcement that works, announced going into AMA. But going back to that pro section, I know we talked before that a lot of the tracks didn't have it. I reached out to Works. They said that just some of the facilities just didn't have anything to do with pro section. But
Yeah,
man, let's talk about this pro section. I watched the recap video. Usually in these races, there's a pretty set, track that you have to go through. This pro section looks like it was almost like a hair scramble. Like it was just wide open desert. You guys just had to figure out a way to get through. Was that what it was like?
pretty much. Yeah, they had like 2 ribbons on the first hill was like there, and then I don't know how wide it was, probably 300 feet, probably wider.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
not too good. I'm not too good with my feet. I work in meters in Australia,
Sure.
so but it was wide. But yeah, there was like 3 or 4 pins in the middle, and it's basically just pick your way up, and you got on a bit of a single track, and then there was another 2 pins you had to go through, and then yeah, it opened up again. And if you took a wrong line, like we obviously all go and walk it and check it out,
Yeah.
but once you're racing, it's like just obviously comes at you a lot faster.
Yeah.
And yeah, the first lap I made a mistake. I took a wrong line, and I think Tyler, Mateo, and Dare both took the line that they walked properly, and that's just my mistake, my fault.
Yeah.
Just there's things going over. It all looks the same. The ground's the same.
Yeah.
There's rocks. It's just like
Hmm.
you got to pick your way through. But I really enjoy that they added that in. And hopefully in the future we can get more of that stuff. Yeah, like I know Glen Helen always used to be K rails and all that stuff,
Yep.
and things like that. But 29 Palms was a really good venue to throw a good pro section in, and yeah, they utilized it perfect. So yeah, it's just learning. Learning how to read it and remember. Like you can always put a marker somewhere, or just remember something to go through. But
Right.
like I said, once you're on the bike doing it, racing, race pace, and you're out front leading from my sake going into the pro section and things like that. But it's good. It makes it a bit of a separator for sure. Like I lost a lot of
Yeah.
time there in the first half of the race, but once I figured it out, I was be able to, possibly make up time through there too. So I enjoyed it actually. It's good.
Nice. And then look at you guys did 11 laps. Was the track was it pretty long laps? I mean, 11 laps. That kind of seems like the normal for you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, without the pro section, it would have been quite a short track, honestly. So
Yeah.
yeah, they actually added that in, and it came out to be a good lap. I think my best was maybe a 10:47
Yep.
or something like
10:47.
that. Yeah, so that's a good lap. That's a nice track. But yeah, track was sick. Loved it. Fast, sandy. Had the pro section and all that stuff, and a little bit of motocross track in there too. So yeah, it was sick. I like that place.
Nice. Justin, what questions do you have for Mason?
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I saw someone had a Strava and they're like in the C class doing like 94, 95 miles an hour.
Yeah,
What'd you top out there at 29 Palms? Because it seems like it's been pretty fast. I don't know if anyone else is that their first time racing there as well?
yeah. I did a GP there last year on my 250, but I think I hit maybe 87 on the weekend.
Jeez.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it was a pretty fast track. That's only one straight though. I mean, it's a wide track too, which is good. You can move
Hmm.
around. Where Laughlin for the GP the weekend prior was also a very, very fast track, and
Yeah.
probably faster, honestly. Not top speed, just more straights. More wide open stuff. But yeah, 29 Palms is definitely a fast place. But I don't know. I enjoy the high speed stuff. Honestly, it's you know doesn't really worry me. It's fine.
Do
It's
you
funny.
do
Speaking of
you
Laughlin,
oh,
Justin lives right
right
across the
across?
river.
I can
He's
see
not
it.
even
I can
20
see it from
minutes from
right here. Yeah.
there.
Oh, really? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we live in Bullhead.
yeah. That place was a bit unique. Honestly, I don't know. It was a different course. I don't really. Everyone was a bit, concerned about how fast it was and just choppy.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
I had a few moments. Dante seen me have a couple of moments and was like, "Man, yeah, you're lucky there. Like just coming over crests and it's just a hole on the backside and
Yep.
just things like
Yeah.
that. But that's off-road
It looks
racing, man. That's what
like
we do.
Yeah, it looks like they just use because they always do off-road races out there, and it looks like they just use the same track that they run the trophy trucks through.
Yeah, yeah, they ran some different lanes and stuff like that to kind of put more turns into it, but all the ridges
Yeah.
that they were on was fresh off, and they didn't grade out probably not much of it from the trophy truck races. I saw
Hmm.
some videos. I'm like, but
Yeah.
see, that's normally not there. We don't ride that. We go right up in the hills a little bit more from
Yeah.
there, which that would be a cool race. They do some little hard enduros out there.
Hmm.
But that's like just straight technical rocky, kind of like what 29 Palms had, if not
Yeah.
more rocky. But it's cool stuff
Yeah.
out there to ride.
Yeah, for sure. And I think because the trophy trucks or whoever raced the weekend prior, all the holes come up right away again.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
They get like grader, but it kind of just plops it over, so they come up straight
Yeah.
away. But it was pretty hairy, but it was good. I mean, yeah, we haven't had a fast track for that GP series all year, so
Yeah.
last round was fast, and yeah,
I think we talked. You said you like that high speed stuff, right? You like to be able to open it up and let it
yeah,
eat, huh?
yeah, I don't mind it. There's a race we do at home. I think we spoke about too, called the Hatter Desert Race.
Yeah.
It's a
Hmm.
4 hour race through the desert. There's two. There's the Fink Desert Race and the Hatter. The Fink is faster again, but yeah, Hatter's always one race we do each year at home, and we hit 100 mile an hour at that race.
Jeez, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So it's like, yeah, I mean, like I said, it doesn't really worry me to go fast, especially on GP tracks, what's coming.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, if you go down to Baja and having pre-run or whatever, and you're going fast down a foreign road, or even Dakar, for instance, places like
yeah,
that, that's where it can get a bit hairy. But for a GP course or works, or let's say whatever, like, where you're going, what's
yeah.
coming. So it's like at that high speed, it's kind of, yeah, whatever comes at you, you kind of expect it. So yeah, I don't mind it. But I like technical stuff too. You know what I mean? Like, I like going, really ruddy, gnarly kind
Yeah.
of terrain tracks too, and mud and all that stuff. Like, I love that stuff too. So just trying to be
Nice.
an all-round rider.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of that, the mud and tight technical, Works is going to Washougal next year.
Mm,
Are you gonna start practicing, probably jumping over some logs? I'm sure they're gonna have out there.
yeah, I think
And
so.
up there too, you never know what the weather's gonna be. You might get a mud fest up there.
Yeah, for sure. Looking forward to that actually. I've never been up to Washington or anywhere of them places, so I think that'll be sick. But yeah, someone once told my dad a long time ago, for your son to be a good rider, you got to ride everything. You know,
Yep.
Hmm.
motocross, supercross, flat track, hard enduro, trials. If it's raining, go ride. Who cares? You got to learn how
Yep.
to ride everything. So yeah, I try to take that into consideration and try to do that. But didn't show on the weekend in the pro section, obviously, for the first hour, but we figured it out. But yeah, looking forward to Washington. I think would be cool. Getting the trees,
Yeah.
get some good off-road racing going. It'd be sick.
Yeah, so like Justin was talking about, I mean, pretty big announcement. I mean, Works is going to become an AMA sanctioned series now, the West Coast Regional.
Mm.
What do you think that's going to do as far as the changes to Works, with it being actually AMA now? Do you think you're going to see more entries out there, or, what do you think that's going to play a factor in?
Yeah, I think so, and I hope so, and I hope it attracts more manufacturers to get back into it. Now it being an AMA sanctioned event, like, it's kind of what I think the manufacturers might look at more than it not being an AMA event. To go support the riders to go get an AMA, regional title or whatever. So yeah, I heard Matteo say on the weekend that he's hoping to get to some more works races next year, and it being an AMA kind of influence that too. So yeah, hopefully it does attract more people, and it'd be awesome to see works get back up to what it was
Hmm.
whenever it was firing, 15 years ago. I'm not sure. I wasn't
Yeah.
around for that, but like, that'd be sick. Like, obviously they're trying. We're going to new venues. We're doing stuff that they haven't done for a while, and now AMA and things like that. So it's a well-run event. I really enjoy the work schedule. We do an hour practice on Saturday
Hmm.
at usually 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, whenever it is. Race and a reasonable hour on Sunday morning, 11 o'clock, and yeah, we're home that night. Like, it's a good schedule. It's a you know, good series, and the people who run it are all willing to work with the riders and you know get our say in what goes in some parts of the track, or what we want. So yeah, I think it's good, man. I'm hoping it gets back to where it was for sure.
Yeah. And so I know you do the NGPC series. I think we've talked about the GNCC. What do you think? Oh, I guess we'll start with the NGPC. What do you think? Because it seems like the NGPC series is a little bit better than Works. Why do you think that is? What is it about that series that kind of seems like it has a little bit of a better? I know they do a live stream too. That's cool. But what do you think is the biggest difference between those two? Because a lot of the venues are the same.
Well, they've been
Yeah,
AMA too, though, for the last few years. I feel like I think that.
yeah, yeah. I think so too. I think it's just because it is a national title. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, like, for the manufacturers, KTM, Honda, Kawasaki, everyone that goes there for their rider to win a championship, it's a national title to their name.
Gotcha.
Um, which goes a long way. It's
Yeah.
we race to win titles, and especially national titles. That's what we're here for. So I think that does have a lot of an influence on it, and for sure the live stream. You've got people coming in from
Hmm.
all over the world tuning in. Australia, I've got a lot of friends and family at home. Where the works is just it's just live timing
Yeah.
and things like that. So yeah, I think it's just a couple little things, and it just purely being dirt bikes only at the NGPC Series 2,
Yeah.
which still attracts a lot of people. I know Works has the ATVs and
Mhm.
Side by sides, and I don't know, some class is getting cut out next year. I forget who that is, but
Yeah, I know they
yeah,
already removed the side by sides this year, right?
yeah,
This was the first year they got rid of them.
right, yeah. So yeah, not sure. I think just a national title being the main pinpoint is why it's
Yeah.
probably a bigger and the premier off-road series here on the West Coast now, for sure.
Yeah, and then you hear about GNCC with the one at Ironman that had like over 1,000 entries for that, and it's just
Yeah,
that was crazy too, you know.
Well, they have
So
probably
over
yeah,
more.
70. They have over 70 different classes and stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
It's insane.
yeah.
And
I
they're
wanted to
racing
get.
for like the amateur guys do almost like 2 hours, I think, too, as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, I wanted to get to that one, but obviously I had to race at what was that Lachlan, the
Oh yeah.
GP. So yeah, yeah, I was GNCC for 2 years, 22 and 23, and my last GNCC was Ironman in 23, and left on a bad note. I DNF, so I want to
Oh,
go back.
ouch.
I want to go back and try to get some redemption, which I tried early this year. I went to Camp Coker and ran out of fuel, so I haven't had a good run of the
Oh.
GNCCs as of late. So I need to get to a good one here next year and yeah, get back into that. That's the GNCCs are gnarly. You know,
Yeah,
it's the top off-road series in the world, I believe. You know, like honestly,
yeah.
like it's brutal. It takes a long time to learn. The tracks, how they form up, the terrain. It's yeah. You just got to experience and go there. Especially Ironman, the amount of people there.
Yeah.
It's gnarly. It's so
Oh yeah,
sick.
I just got back from Ironman. I went there for
Sick.
Destinations, and
Yeah.
it was a fucking crazy. I actually
Yeah.
camped right. We rented a U-Haul and stayed in a U-Haul there, and we camped right next
Yeah.
to some Aussies and stuff, and we had a great time.
Yeah. Sick.
We traded our USA overalls for one of their flags they signed and a
Yeah.
blow up
Sick.
kangaroo and stuff, and I brought dirt home and stuff. It was sick.
That's awesome. That's good time for sure.
So looking
Sick.
at this 2026 schedule, have you take a look at it? I mean, I see Havasu's on there twice, which is that is
hmm
interesting. Are there any tracks that you're excited to race the 450 on? Are there any tracks that you're like the 450 might be a little bit tougher than the 250 looking at this schedule next year?
Just excited to race it everywhere. Honestly, you know,
Okay.
Blythe. I love Blythe. Blythe's an awesome place. It's probably one of my favorite
And
tracks
that's
that we
round
go
one,
to.
yeah.
That's round one. I know. So I'm excited for that. I'm looking forward to that for sure. Just, you know, deep sand, pretty fast track, you know, 450 will be perfect. Um, you know, Glen Helen's obviously a fast track. Looking forward to that. We'll go to Reno, I believe, next year, do we? I think it
Yep,
Yep.
says
yep,
there.
Reno's on there.
Never been there, so that's exciting. That'll be good. Washougal, you know, that could be tight and technical. So, yeah,
Yep.
maybe the 250 could have been better there, but you know, I'm just excited to get on the 450. It's such an all-round good bike, you know. Once you learn it how to ride in the tight technical stuff too, like it's really beneficial if you just use the torque of the power and you know ride it properly. I mean, I know it's maybe a little bit different, but Johnny Walker's racing a 450 in the Endurocross right now, and
Oh
is
wow.
so competitive on a Triumph 450, and
Yeah.
like he has that thing down to a T, you know. So it's like it's definitely not a disadvantage riding one of a bigger bike in you know technical kind of stuff. So yeah, looking forward to next year. I think it should be a good year. And yeah, I believe Dare and Tyler and all them boys will be firing next year, so it should be good battles.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're definitely looking forward to it. And yeah, I know you kind of go back to GNCC. I mean, I've seen there's been a couple of 250 two-strokes that have been winning the overalls out there too. You know,
Yep,
the bikes are so competitive across the board.
for sure.
So that's the end of your season. So, you know, what does the off season look like? You know, round one for work starts up in January. So you have about, 3 months or so. So what does the off season look like? What are you going to be doing for fun? Any trips or anything? You going back home to Australia or, what do you got going on for the off season?
Yeah, just for now, take a little bit of time off the bike, let the body reset. You know, it's a long year. Like we start in January and we finish in November, so it's like, you know, yeah, we do get the summer break off,
Hmm.
which is a couple of months. So kind of weird. Like you almost take the summer break as a bit of an off season, and
Yeah.
then you get back into it, and now it's like a couple of weeks off, but then it's pre-season. You know what I mean? So it's like you got to pick where you want to take your time off. So for now, just let the body relax for a couple of weeks. And then I'm actually going up to NorCal to ride with the Oliveira brothers, Matteo and Dante,
Nice.
for 4 days with our trainer Jared, and just doing a little, you know, little boot camp and test our fitness, see where we're at, push ourselves for 4 days, and you know, and then yeah, we've got Thanksgiving, you know, go hang out with some friends, and yeah, man, just hanging out in SoCal. I won't go home or anything.
Yeah.
Um, keep it here for now, and yeah, just keep testing and riding this 450 as much as I can over winter, and hopefully we get some rain out here and all the tracks are sick, and
Yeah.
yeah, have some fun with it. But before we know it, round one will be here. We'll be back racing, and yeah, just keep at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then a little bit of bench racing. Obviously, you're a KTM guy. Some big news, Prado and Eli Tomac going
Yep.
over there. What do you think? How do you think both those moves, are gonna work out? I mean, they're probably Prado's going back to what he's used to, and Tomac, I mean, it's a total change. They even got a cable clutch on that bike. So, yeah,
Yeah,
what do you think about this new KTM look with these two new additions over there?
I think it's awesome, especially for the brand having Eli on the team. Um, and just watching videos from him riding yesterday out there, like he looks comfy already.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And even he said that like the steel frame for him um, feels more planted than what he's been riding. So, and he's getting way more traction than he ever has right now. So it's like
Yeah.
to hear him say that right now, it's pretty crazy, honestly. And then I think, Prado coming back to the brand, it's like home to him. It's going to be natural.
Yeah.
It's only going to boost his confidence, um, just from being in the brand again. Honestly, I think,
Yeah.
and that'll show straight away. I believe. I think it's going to be better on Supercross on this bike too.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I've been at KDM a little bit this week, and it's pretty sick in there right now. There's all the guys getting around, and yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah,
it's
right
uh
on.
it's pretty cool. Yeah, I just live down the road, so I go in there and talk with the off-road boys, and you can see across the Supercross side, and all the boys are
Yeah.
in there and doing the press releases and all that stuff. So I think it's good. I think Tomac's going to give Jet and everyone else everything he's got. Honestly, I think it's going to be sick.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's good. I think what AP, he did an interview and he said, I've never heard a KTM sound like that after hearing Eli ride
I
it.
know,
So
I know, it's crazy, and they did they put the cable clutch on for him,
yeah.
which is pretty sick. I mean, to go into that depth to really get what he wants already.
Yep.
And I've heard him say like, this is a factory machine. Like this is
Yeah.
the real deal. And you go into the workshop at KDM there, and everything is pristine, clean. Every work bay is the exact same. Everything is just immaculate, and yeah, it's a real deal. And seeing him in a Red Bull, helmet and the whole
Yeah,
outfit,
that
just it,
too.
That's weird.
honestly
That's weird to
looks.
see at first.
Yeah, it does. Almost looks natural though. Honestly, it
Yeah.
looks good. Yeah, it's going to be an exciting year for Supercross fans, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Justin, anything else for Mason before we let him get back to his
Um,
evening?
One, are you going to ask for the cable clutch? And two, do you think Dante and Mateo are going to be racing works maybe the full series now that it's AMA?
If Eli starts winning with the cable clutch, then maybe I'll ask for it. No, I'm a hydraulic guy, but I don't think Dante and Mateo will commit to the full series. Definitely not next year, I think. Um, they can both defend their number one plates in the Hare and Hound for Dante and then the West Hair
Okay.
Supercross for Mateo. So KDM themselves are going to definitely want them to do that. And then
Yep.
me being a KDM support, I'll go to the works and almost cover that, So
Mhm.
yeah, I think Mateo says he's going to come to some rounds, which would be cool. Dante shows up to a couple too. That'd be sick. So yeah, we'll see. But maybe in the near future, KDM might get back into works racing as a factory. So we'll see. Hope so. Be cool
Yeah, it'd be nice to
No,
see the big rigs
absolutely.
out there. The semis back at works would be nice to
for
see.
sure. That would be
Yeah.
Especially
sick.
for you,
That would be
especially for
awesome.
you guys too. You're not pitting out of the sprinter vans and stuff like that. You got a little bit more
That's it.
room.
Yeah, that's it for sure.
All right. Well, Mason, thanks again for coming on. Enjoy your off season. Great job this year. We're beyond excited for next year and see you rip that 450. I think you're going to fit right in with those big dogs, and I think you're going to kind of give them a run for their money. So really appreciate you coming on. Wish you the best. Happy holidays, and we'll get you on next year for sure and talk about this 450 season with you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
All
Yeah,
right.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
All right, Justin. So that kind of wraps up, the work series, of course. So, Mason wrapped up 250 championship a little bit early. Dare wrapped it up. He only had to get, I think they even said like maybe a fourth or a fifth
He
to
said
wrap up his title.
fourth in the video I
Yeah.
saw.
So which was a guarantee because I think they had maybe 5 or 6 guys anyways.
Hmm.
But I mean, shout
Yeah.
out to Dare going back to back. That's cool. It's going to see him out there. And then, yeah, like you said, the AMA. it's going to be a national title. I'm sure the contingency is going to be a lot higher too. So I would only expect that the entries for this work series are gonna increase going into next year.
Yeah, I think Works is going to take another step up. I mean, I think we go to Havasu every year, and we're kind of seeing, people starting to come back and race it more and more. And I think now with the AMA, I think it's really going to explode for Works and do really good. And like Mason was saying, Works does do a good job at listening to rider input. I know when we talked to Dare, they were asking Dare about different tracks, different venues to go to. So it's cool to see they're trying to change it up, and it's not, the same Glen Helen, Taft, the same tracks
Yeah.
over and over. They're trying to expand. They're trying to go to different places. They're asking riders, what cool places would you like to go to? And they're really trying to put an effort to make the series as good as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, going out to Washougal, that's a big deal. So yeah, I mean, it's cool to see, like you said, Works is putting in the effort to make it good and bring it back to its heyday. So we'll see what happens next year, but yeah, excited for the change and see what goes on. All right, well, going into the offseason rumors, this was a busy week. We saw quite a few announcements out there. Starting off first, that was announced with Sexton and Marchbanks to Kawasaki. We were talking about this a few weeks ago. Sexton's been done for a while. Marchbanks, good to see him get that opportunity. But yeah, I mean, they had that sweet shootout in Hawaii for Sexton. But yeah, and I know we kind of talked about Sexton in general, but Marchbanks, where do you think he's going to fit in with this 450 class?
It's going to be tough. There's a lot of top guy. I mean, but also we got to think, is everyone going to stay healthy? We always say this every beginning of every year,
Mhm.
stacked, but who's going to stay healthy and who's not? I think Marchbanks probably 10 to 15 guy to start out with. I
Yeah.
think it's I think we just got to see what he's like on the 450 in Supercross. I mean, 450 outdoors, he can grind out and be, near the top five. But indoors, just a whole nother ball game, and he's just got to figure out his start. So if he can get decent starts, I can see him being a 10 to 15 guy, week in, week out.
Yeah, I mean, and who knows? We don't know how much they're going to train together, but I mean, Sexton's a pretty good training partner, for
Hmm.
Marchbanks. It's going to be the fastest guy he's ever trained with, so maybe that's going to kind of kick him up another notch. But Sexton signed a 3-year deal. He did his announcement so that he doesn't want to go anywhere else, so he's stuck there for 3 years. And then even Marchbanks, he gets a 2-year deal on the 450, so that's cool.
Hmm.
Gives him some more security and kind of see what he can do also. So yeah, definitely some interesting moves. Excited. I mean, Sexton looks good on that Cowie. The number 4, the Alpine Star gear. I mean, it looks crisp, and just knowing Sexton, these elite guys, he's still going to be up there, and he's still going to be competing. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens there. More so on the Kawasaki dynamic, we've known Sexton to be kind of picky in certain things that he wants, and to me, I have a feeling that Kawasaki is maybe looking at this as like a revamp, and I think they're going to do whatever it takes to get that bike winning again.
Yeah, you got to think Prado absolutely dogged the team all year. Anderson quit Supercross kind of
Hmm.
early. He had, sickness, whatever it was, but a lot of people also kind of think he was kind of throwing the towel in. So, Cowie, the brand's kind of in a little bit of shambles, and this is kind of, like you
Yeah.
said, revamping, bringing the brand back to life. I think they got great people to represent the brand. I think they did a great job. I mean, their press release was sick. I mean, especially in Hawaii, that track right
Hmm.
there on the water, that might be moto heaven right there, dude. That track was sick. So, I think it's going to be good. I think Sexton's going to do good on the Cowie, back with the Japanese, brand aluminum chassis.
Yeah.
But we got to see, is he going to stay off the ground or be a mental head case like always?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. And then speaking of another brand that honestly kind of needs a re-image itself, KTM, they announced Prado going over there, which we've heard for a while. Eli Tomac going over there too. So if not more than Kawasaki, about the same. I mean, we know the struggles with KTM, the issues with their shocks, Vial not wanting to line up for races. But yeah, Prado and Eli making that change. Those are two big changes, right? I mean, you got Prado that's going back to really the only thing he's ever rode. And then we
Hmm.
got Eli Tomac that is, he's never ridden a steel frame. They're able to get that cable clutch on there. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting between the two with Prado and Eli going to KTM.
Yeah, I think like Mason just said, with it being the steel chassis, it's more rigid, that's probably going to help Tomac. And like he said, Tomac's having a bunch of traction, and he obviously has the inside scoop because he's there every single day. He knows what they're
Yeah.
talking about. So it sounds like Eli's way happy. Even in the interview, he's talking about how one of the engineers was like, "How do we make beast mode?" And he's like,
Hmm.
"Just make me happy, pretty much." He's like, and we're
Yep.
good to go. So they're doing a great job facilitating what he wants and asks for, and hopefully it's a good partnership for them because I'd love to see Tomac back on top. When Tomac's racing his best, the sport's at its best. So, and then Prado, I mean, you have to prove it. I mean, I think if you don't prove it, you're going back to MXGP. There's no way you're going to be able to stay in the States.
Yeah, going back to Tomac, we'll see, right? Because we've always heard that Eli's weirdo rides are due to his rear end not being how he wants, and that's been the main issue with KTM is that rear shock fading. So we'll see if that ends up playing a factor or if they're able to get it fixed. It doesn't sound like it was as much of an issue during Supercross, um, but you never know. And then yeah, going to Prado, I'm with you, dude. It's now or never. You made all that fuss with Kawasaki, and now you're on the bike that you want. I think in his interview, he said it was perfect. It felt right at home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's see
He's
it.
kind of a
We still got to
dickhead.
see if he. Yeah, I agree. He still doesn't take any ownership as far as
Mm-hmm.
anything with Kawasaki, so it's 100% going to fall on his shoulders. Same thing with him. He's going to have a great training partner with Eli for whenever Eli is there.
Never, probably.
But yeah, yeah, right. But for Prado, yeah, it's no more excuses. We still got to see him survive all 17 rounds of Supercross, so we'll see how that goes. But I don't know. Where do you think with Prado? We'll start with Prado. Are we going to see much of an improvement from what we saw?
I don't know. It's hard. I don't want to put an expectation on him because all he does is let us down every single time we put an
Yeah,
expectation on him. So, I mean, honestly, I just want to see him finish the races and not hear excuses, really.
yeah,
I just want to see him out there and just do what he's been, the opposite of everything he's been complaining about. And then, we can start setting some expectations. But I think he's still going to struggle. I mean, the class is just getting better and better. And, although he's comfortable on the KTM because it's all he's rode his whole life, I mean, it's still going to take a little bit of learning as well. So, every rider when they get to a new bike they normally always say it's perfect and the first day was great.
yeah,
Remember what Sexton said about the KTM when he got on it. They always say that.
yeah,
So he could just be blowing smoke like he seems to blow smoke all the time.
yeah. No, I agree. It'll be interesting to kind of see that dynamic, and then with
I
Eli
heard
Tomac
actually,
going to KTM. Mhm.
yeah, 1 second about Prado. I heard he was doing a shock change at the live media thing.
Oh, really?
I saw someone, I think it was Swap or someone was like the way they did the release was smart because they made it into a live media, everything was on
Yeah,
them, and they did a live ride day, and like they were even changing shocks and testing shocks. And I
like
think it was
testing.
Prado.
Huh.
Yeah, so I was like, well, Prado, your statement's kind of a little wish-washy.
Yeah, right. And then going over to Eli, I mean, to me, you can only think that it's going to be a step back. It seemed like the Yamaha fit him pretty great. A brand new, steel frame. Kind of see how he's going to. I mean, it sounds like they kind of just made that cable clutch. And, how reliable is that going to be? Are we going to have another scenario where, like with Club MX, having issues with that handbrake? When you start throwing things and just kind of making stuff work on a bike that isn't necessarily designed to be there, that's another factor. I'm gonna kind of keep an eye on see how well that clutch, holds up for Eli.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it looks pretty janky on the pictures they took. It looks like they just kind of ran a wire around just a little pulley for it
Yeah.
to work. But I mean,
Watch, it's still
keep
hydraulic. It's just the cable that he can
yeah,
just fuck with. Like that's
it just
it.
looks like it. It's just for the
Yeah.
aesthetics. But Kiefer said
Yeah.
that he was testing hydraulic and cable, so he's like he might be on a hydraulic by A1. You never know. If you find something he likes, it's gonna be good. But I mean, like you said, AP said, I've never heard that KTM sound like that. I noticed that right away, dude. I'm like, that thing was pinging
Hmm.
off the rev limiter right away. I'm like, hopefully this guy doesn't, blow these motors. No one really rode him like
Yep.
that ever. Dungy wasn't a high rever. Sexton's not a high rever.
Mm-mm.
Webb's not. So,
Yeah.
their R&D team might have a whole new thing they got to solve.
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting. I mean, it just makes the next season even more exciting. We already talked about the Anderson move. No word for Barsha yet. That's kind of surprising. I'm not sure what's taking so long with the Ducati announcement. But yeah, definitely something that's going to make things interesting. And then today, the big news that dropped, we heard the rumors, but Deegan officially signs with Fox Racing. This is a pretty big move. I feel like Fox hasn't really had a big guy in a while, like a superstar, Prado, but we all know how that turned out. But yeah, Deegan comes out with that intro video, is all blinged out with the bedazzled boots, and
Fuck.
yeah, I don't know. Hopefully it gives Fox a little revamp on their style. But I mean, that's a pretty big move for Deegan to get his own gear deal already.
Yeah, you kind of already knew it was happening when they kind of announced he was going to 450, but it sounds like they've been working this for a while. And you got to think Fox is kind of like you said, hasn't really been much. They had AC, they've always had Kenny,
The
but
PC
nothing like,
team.
yeah, nothing splashy, really, as someone that's,
Yeah.
controversial, I guess you could say. But
Yeah.
I mean, I heard they're throwing big money, like probably Stu RC money, $1 million a year at
Oh yeah.
least. So, it's making a statement. You know how Fox is; they're about tradition. They like to make guys, signature stuff. So I'm sure they're gonna do some pretty cool stuff for him. But I still hate Fox, so fuck them.
Yeah, I mean they got big shoes to fill, right? I mean Thor came out
Yeah,
with some fire kits. They had the Jailbird kit, so they're gonna have to get creative over there.
but you got to
And
think how
Fox, but hey,
much
I mean
more.
they definitely set the tone.
You got to think though, Thor doesn't really sponsor. Besides that 250 team, they really don't sponsor much for 450. I mean, both the
Yeah.
450 guys at Yamaha, O'Neill and Fly. No one really else besides
Yep.
AP. I could really think. I mean, do you know anyone
Yeah.
else really off the top factory?
No, I think that's as far as top guys. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really all they have.
yeah. So they really don't have much. I know the Phoenix Honda or whatever that was Moose Racing. They're going to Thor. I saw they just
Yeah.
got all that stuff. So, Thor's kind of going back irrelevant, almost seems like a little bit again.
Yeah, which is interesting because I feel like they have some of the nicest kits out there, next to A-Star. So
Yeah, the baseball
yeah, I mean,
jerseys
who
were sick.
knows? Yeah, yeah. They definitely have some good flair over there. Um, well, then of course, a big news that announced too. Going WSX starts this week. They announced Deegan's racing the 450 over there. I mean, if you look at the field, it's a little bit weaker. His stiffest competition is going to be Roxon and Anderson. Savachi's kind of thrown in there too.
J.
The wild
Coop.
cards Webb Tomac will be a little bit later. Jay Coop. Um, but yeah, I mean that's pretty big. It's a big debut, and it just kind of makes you wonder what implications this can have heading into A1. To me, if Deegan goes out, if he podiums, if he even wins a moto, because he's doing 2 rounds, sounds like it. But I mean, how well do you think he has to do for them to maybe think, hey, you know what? Let's just go line up at A1 on 450 and just race the 250 East Coast? Or do you think that's
I
just not
I
something
think
that's
that
going to
I
happen?
think I think that's already the plan. From the way JT and Pulp were talking on the Pulp show, JT said that it sounds like he's going East Coast, and Pulp said he kind of heard that too. Shimoda's already going East Coast, and this would line up perfect. He does 450 at this Supercross event. You know how the Deegans are; they want everything about them. High, what bigger news and bigger
Hmm.
spotlight than Deegan's 450 debut at home at A1. It's where he's
Yeah.
from. No one's going to be talking about Jet. No one's going to be talking about anything besides Hayden Deegan racing a
Yep.
450 at A1. It's all headlines for them. It's all marketing. It's all money, especially with Fox being there.
Yep.
I think he raced the first. I think he races the first few rounds 450 and then does 250X or East Coast.
Yeah, and you think about, I mean, no better time to do it, right? Sexton's going to be on a new bike, Eli on a new bike. Jed and Hunter are obviously going to be great. AP's coming off his illness. Anderson on the Suzuki, Roxon making his return. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, if it goes well, which I mean, I can't imagine it's not, but I mean, who knows? we all remember his 250, his futures debut wasn't great either.
Hmm.
But to me, I think he's more than capable of going out there and racing a couple 450 rounds and being smart and not getting hurt. I think
That's
he'll
the
be able to
problem.
adjust that style. Yeah. But I think that would be able to kind of adjust his style a little bit, but get a little bit more seat time. At the end of the day, he has to go to 450 and outdoors. No one talks about 250 titles anyways. I know they're all about the accolades and getting that two for the East Coast, which it
Well, that's
sounds
what
like
they
he'll be
want.
lining up against Shimoda. Yeah, it sounds like he'll be lining up against Shimoda because they announced Hymas is going to be doing West Coast. So that'll be an interesting battle there. But to me, kind of talk about 250 East. If he goes to 250 East, to me, I still think he's going to be a fairly heavy favorite over Shimoda. I know Shimoda has a lot of hype from SMX, but if you really look into it, I mean, Deegan outdoors, he had the title well in grass, even Supercross, he did too. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see if Shimoda's really going to make that jump because he did look great in SMX. He really did. But Supercross is it's a different animal.
Yeah, I don't know anyone else who would even be able to, besides Shimoda, even really be up there. I mean, Davies is probably going west. They're probably going to put Anstey west.
Yeah,
So, Deegan's going to be there by himself. Maybe he's going to have Thrasher with him. PC,
yeah.
where's McAdoo going? He'll probably go east because he hasn't raced in a while and barely on a
But
bike, and
yeah,
that's not really, a threat. So, I mean, Kitchen's probably going to go
Kitchen
west
seems
coast.
lost.
Yeah, so yeah,
Who knows?
he's
Maybe Kitchen does
lost in
bounce
the
back after
sauce.
that bad Daytona crash. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe Kitchen will bounce back. I mean, he looked better in SMX too, but yeah, to me, I mean, no matter where Deegan goes, I think he's going to be the favorite. I think they're probably going in fairly confident too that he'll be able to wrap up that 250 title pretty easily. But I mean, hey, it gives us a reason to watch WSX, even more of a reason to kind of see how he does. So I'll be glued to the TV to kind of see how this shakes out. But to me, I mean, you look at this field. I mean, it's a small field already in general. What is it? Maybe 12 guys
14.
that are in
Yeah,
the class. 14, yeah. So pretty small to me. I think a podium is definitely in the cards. Um, Especially if it gets a good start. I mean, I against everyone else, I just don't see him really struggling. A win to me. Would it be surprising if he goes
yes.
out there and he wins? I mean, he's been riding the bike a little bit. Would you be pretty surprised if he goes out there
I mean,
and he wins?
I'd be surprised, but also I wouldn't be surprised because the main events are so short. They're like 6 to
Yeah,
8 minute main events. It's like a mini triple crown. It almost seems like. So I mean, if he
yeah,
wins it, yeah, like I could see it. Maybe like if he won the overall, I'd be shocked. But him winning one, sprint race, I mean, okay, you got to think Vince Freeze is going to be out there on a start, so he might be winning
yeah.
everything if there's sprint races. He's just going to block everyone, and then it comes into you got Vince Freeze, Jason Anderson, Hayden Deegan, Joey Savacci all on one track.
Yep.
We might have some takeouts, like it's chicken in Paris. So, yeah, it'll be surprising if he wins the overall.
Yeah, I mean, if you look about it, Roxon, he's been on and off the bike a little bit. Um, I'm pretty sure Roxon did some SMX. I mean, he didn't look great in SMX like he had in years past. Anderson's going to be pretty fresh on that Suzuki too, so who knows what that's going to look like? Like you mentioned, Freeze on the Stark, that'll be interesting. But I mean, we might see Deegan's toughest competition maybe be a J Coop. I think he's the most race ready right now, and he has some speed. So I mean, it could be interesting. But I could see a combination of Ken Roxon, J Coop, and Deegan somewhere in that podium.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm just ready for racing. It feels like it's been forever not having any racing, even though it's barely been a month. But yeah, I'm just
Right.
excited for some racing. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully no one gets hurt. We don't have any drama. Oh, we
I hope
love
the
drama,
tracks are
but
good.
no. Yeah, it looks like there should be good from, some of the designs they put out. It's not like that one Dubai race that was like an arena cross. This actually kind of looks like it's on a
Yeah,
bigger
that's terrible.
stadium and they're going to have a full, supercross track. I think one of them doesn't even have whoops, I believe. But oh well, still
Yeah.
supercross.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, all right. Anything else? Anything else that you can think of before we cut out?
No, not. I mean, Barsha and Carson Brown, Era's video, that was sick. I don't know if you've seen that. Them both on 152
No,
strokes
I saw the
ripping.
clips of it.
Yeah, it was pretty sick.
Yeah.
I watched it. It was dope.
Well, all right. Well, thanks again for listening, watching on YouTube. Shout out to Mason for coming on and joining us. But not sure when we'll be back. We might take a few weeks off or just come back ready for A1. But of course, follow us on IG. We'll always post whatever's happening around in the sport. But once again, thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time. All right.
Did you stop it?